Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor as well as a mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. And today, my special guest is Ruth Klein, and we speak on the topic of raising children with self-esteem and confidence. Ruth Klein is an author and founder of the nonprofit Universal Mom, which works to help children and teens uncover their talents through the art of writing. With her master's degree in clinical psychology and a master's degree in spiritual psychology, with an emphasis on health, consciousness, and healing, Ruth is passionate about helping youth reach their potential by believing in themselves. Prior to founding Universal Mom, for 22 years, Ruth led the nonprofit Self-Esteem Council, which went into high schools to work with sophomores and juniors. In less than 10 hours, they changed students' perceptions of their lives, increasing their self-esteem and confidence. Many of the students they worked with had the confidence to apply for summer jobs, get involved in school activities the following year, and apply to college, when previously college was not even on their radar. Outside of her nonprofit work, Ruth has a successful career that spans over 30 years. She has helped her clients create a 360-degree brand and convert their expertise and content into best-selling books that have gone on to be high-ticket programs, TEDx speeches, PBS specials, TV guest spots, five-figure speaking engagements. The author of 7 best-selling books, her upcoming release for parents is titled Conscious Connection, and it's slated to come out sometime in 2024. And if you want more information, you can check out Ruth's website at universalmom.org. Hi, Ruth. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be here.
Yes, we are going to talk about a topic that you've been learning and growing as an individual and as a mom and a grandmother for decades. And it's about raising children with self-esteem and confidence. And I think this topic is so relevant because for the moms out there listening, I think it's one of the biggest challenges of parenting and motherhood in particular is how do we do that? There's not a lot of training we receive as parents of how to do it. And if it wasn't modeled for us by our parents, then how do we know what to do? And I think part of it is also for adults who struggled with that, let's say as a child and have done a lot of work as an adult to boost their own confidence and self-esteem. Like, how do we break that generational cycle, especially for women, about our value and our self-worth?
Okay, there's a lot in there to unpack. That's about 4 questions, but I'll do my best on that.
Let's start with your story of like who you are and why you're passionate about this topic.
Okay. So I do branding and marketing, and I help my clients write books, and I ghostwrite. Why is that? My parents were immigrants, and much of my family passed during World War II. And as a young person, I thought, our voice is so important. Our voice, our ideas, some of the best ideas are in graveyards. And many people have heard that before, and it is true. And they never had an opportunity. So one of my missions is to help people find and get their voice out into the world. However, I want that voice to be loving and heart-centered and making a difference in a positive way. And so, having gone to university for psychology, I realized psychology classes, even when I was taking psychology classes, master's level, I was asked to teach at a college, a parenting class, and I had no children. But what I did know was the psychology of learning. And that really came in handy. And a lot of the parents had real problems putting their children to bed at night. And so they would put the children to bed and then they would get up. And then the parent would, in some fashion, reinforce that, not realizing it. Well, that only makes that behavior even more powerful. So we worked on that, and the majority of the parents in the class, by the time the class was over, their kids were now going to sleep and staying asleep and staying in bed. And that's when I realized at a very profound level that what we're really talking about is how parents, grandparents, teachers talk to their child. And now as a professional working with adults, the number one underlying blockage for adults is somewhere there's a gap in their self-esteem and self-confidence. And it shows up in their income. It shows up in their relationships. It shows up. So I started a Self-Esteem Council nonprofit, and we had the same board members, and we went into high schools. We identified sophomore girls. We started with them first. They could go either way. We had the counselors select them, and we were with them about an hour and 20 minutes. And everything we did, we were role modeling, and we were intentional, and we were conscious of it. And so we had, I'm more formal. So we had tablecloths. We, went to the dollar store, got tablecloths, went to the dollar store, got glass dishes. I think we got some plastic glass type of cups. We got utensils. The board and the mentors. At one time, we had 45 mentors. We were in 7 high schools. And we were focused on, in 5 months, we were focused on helping the teen uplift their self-esteem and their self-confidence. And believe it or not, many of them were finding jobs where before they were too timid to find jobs, or they were too aggressive to find jobs. And so I believe the underlying link, bar none, of success in life is how we see ourselves, our self-esteem, and our self-confidence. I believe those are the major differentiators. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what field you're in. It's across the board.
Agreed. So how did you teach that in the high schools to these sophomore girls?
It was so awesome. It was so awesome, Dr. Laura. So awesome. So we had a curriculum, and believe it or not, I had the same board for 22 years, and I hand chose them, and not one ended up leaving. And I didn't know, well, it's another story. I didn't know that board members can oust the president. I had no idea, but that never happened. We're best of friends. And so in this case, these children, these teens, they were conflicted in terms of values, what was right, what was wrong. We started with helping them know how to shake hands, how to introduce themselves. One month was how to deal with adversity. It's not so much what happens to you as how you handle what happens to you. And after 5 months, they graduated, and everyone received pearl earrings. And the reason for that was the oyster. That the oyster's like uncomfortable, it's gritty, it's awful, and then it turns into this gorgeous gem. And so we talked a lot about that. There was a lot of cross-talking in the class at first. And the one thing that I was adamant about was that it was going to be a positive experience for these girls, because it's not about, hey, Jane, why are you acting out again? Why are you so loud? These young women already experienced that at home and at school and at other places. So they're not going to listen. And I believed it was secondary reinforcement. At least they got someone's attention. So we ignored the acting out. We focused on the positive. And I could tell you all kinds of stories. In fact, I'm writing a parenting book now, and many of the stories are going to be in there. And mind you, Dr. Laura, we were with these girls, and later we opened it up to boys for less than 10 hours in 5 months. And the results were you would never believe the results. And it was because we role modeled, we were present, we focused on what was working, not what was not working. I raised 3 beautiful children who are young adults now like that, and we're still very close. They still think I'm smart. So they call and ask me questions, seriously. And I believe, and that's what this book is about. It's about being present. It's about focusing on what's working, not focusing on what's not. Another example, when the kids were younger, their rooms were messes. I mean, messes. One of the kids, you almost had to get a helicopter to go to the other side of the room. And I remember what my dad said. He goes, honey, and he came from a family of 11.
Wow.
My mother would look to see if anyone was inside the bed. And if no one was in bed, she knew that they were healthy. Because if they were in bed, you're sick, right?
Right.
So I would go into each of the bedrooms, I'd see the mess, and I'd go and I'd just thank God that the children were healthy, and I'd shut the door because I did not have to live in that room. So the point is, we have to choose our battles. Was it that important to me? Or was mutual respect more important to me? Well, I'll tell you, mutual respect was more important to me, where I was respectful of the child, they were respectful of me. And so that was far more important to me than their messy room. And there were times I said, it's time to, clean your room, and they did whatever they did, but I wasn't focused on that. I wasn't focused. And if once in a while someone did clean a room, I focused on, wow, that's impressive. Look at that. So that's what this book is about. It's how to see children through what I call heart-centered eyes. However, here's the thing. It's going to be difficult for me to see my children and my grandchildren through heart-centered eyes if I have not worked on me.
Yes, that's correct.
It's going to be very, very hard. So as a result, not only is this a parenting book, but I'm also going to have parenting classes on teaching the parents how to see their child through heart-centered eyes. And I will share with you that once you get it, you start seeing other people through heart-centered eyes, and all kinds of relationships start to change in a positive way.
Yes, because essentially you're talking about this personal development that's very conscious for this mother, and it's going to impact everything in her life,
including herself, because we tend to look outward as moms. We need to also look inward with heart-centered eyes. No more criticism. No more, am I a good mom? The question. You are a good mom if you have love in your heart and you show your child loving. You are a good mom. It doesn't matter that you didn't bake the cookies for the cookie sale. It doesn't matter that you don't prepare whatever lunch every single day and they have to go to school and pay for it. That's not the issue. It's the heart. It's the loving. And it is the connection. It's the connection. And when a child has a connection, a real heart connection with the parent, when they get older and they start to have friends, and the friends start to think differently and start to try and pull them away unconsciously, the child it's a tether. They're tethered. They're connected to at least one of the parents. Look at all the amazing athletes out there. And when you ask them, who was your biggest fan? My mom, my mom. And they turn around and buy their moms homes. They bring them to the games. There was a connection. There was hardship. There was poverty. There was all kinds of unhealthy stuff going on, but they still maintained a connection, a loving connection to their mom. And that's what this book is about. How do you know your child feels loved? How do you know your child feels seen? How do you know your child feels supported? Just because we think as a mom we're supporting them, does the child truly feel supported? So I'm going to have a lot of exercises that moms and dads and grandparents, they'll be able to try it out, because you're right. We didn't learn this stuff. This is, with me, it's trial and error combined with my spiritual psychology, combined with my clinical psychology, combined with my real life experience, combined with my Self-Esteem Council for 22 years. So we're talking about a huge number of children of different ages growing up in different environments. And the common thread, the common denominator is creating that loving connection with your child. And I often like to say, moms, dads, who do you have? Who's that person that you have that loving connection with? It might be a teacher. It might be a grandparent. It might be a dear friend. It might be someone else's grandmother. And when they start talking about them, they smile. They have a smile. That smile is the intangible thread. And I use thread because it is valuable. It is fragile, but it is invisible.
Wow. Like, okay, where do we go from here? So, as a mom listening to this episode, I mean, everything you're saying is like, of course, this is what our children need. But if a mom starts to reflect at her own self-esteem and her own self-worth and her support system, and she's not loving where she's personally at, what can she do to do the work for herself to first benefit herself and then second benefit those around her, including her children?
Okay, there's a lot of things she can do, but I'm going to start with one that I think is very good. She needs to start journaling, just writing, just letting it rip. And the best time to do that is in the morning, but if the kids go to school and then you go to work, if you can just journal.
Maybe before the kids get up for school.
That's ideal. Yeah. That's ideal. Journal. And then all that gunk, which we all have, will come out. And then if you keep journaling, I like to say 3 pages, it'll start to make sense to you. It's like, oh my God, I can't stand this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not me. I'm not going to do this anymore. That's the first step, the awareness that something isn't working the way I want it to. The second step is reaching out to a friend, to a pastor, take a class. There's so much on YouTube now. There's so much that's free that the mom can do. But she needs to do this not just for herself, but for her life and for her children. If you want to break the generational tapes that aren't working, you're the one, mom, that has to do it. Because if you don't do it now, your child 20, 30, 40 years down the line will have to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I believe everyone in the world could benefit from self-development, 1,000%. But I will tell you, reading books is another way you can do it. And if you like this author, it's just really like, wow, gives you goosebumps when she or he says something, see if they have a course. See if they have a course, and then ask and make sure that it's not just, this is my thing, not that it's not just online where you don't have any opportunity to discuss or get feedback. Make sure you have that element where you also can get feedback from the person. Really important. Too many professionals now just throw it online and don't have that give and take and feedback. And that's not how we learn. That's not how we learn. We need the feedback. We need to hear it again and again. And that's another way that we can build momentum and stay with our program or stay with whatever we're going to do.
Accountability. And I will say too, a lot of moms are busy, and like I have a stack of books that on my nightstand that I want to read and aren't getting read. So what my little tip is listening to books on Audible, which I can do while I'm in my car commuting to work. I can do it while I'm working out. So, walking the dog. It's like, how can we multitask and still learn and grow without having to be like, okay, I'm going to sit at my bed and read a book. And it just may not be so practical for some people, right?
It's not, for the majority of moms, there's no time left. And so you put it in there. I remember when I would pick up the kids, my husband would take the kids to school. I'd pick them up, and I loved picking them up because I called them learning sessions. I would ask them how their day was. They would say something, and then I would get all this. In my world, we call it market research. All this information on what's going on, what's working in their lives. I'd ask, questions, not questions where they felt attacked, but just like out of curiosity. And I think as moms, we need to focus on curiosity instead of judgment, because the energy of using judgment, the energy pierces a child's heart. And we don't want that. And then they want to block us. They don't want to talk. But if we send out the energy of curiosity, it's a whole different energy vibe, and they feel it. This is why when we meet someone, we immediately are attracted to them or not. They haven't even said anything yet, but it's the energy they're emitting. And so children, just like we moms and grandmoms and all great grandmoms, we feel the energy. That's why we say, well, you don't need to do that with an attitude. How are you? Fine. Well, the word fine is neutral, but it's the energy in which it is given. And that's when the mom goes, well, you don't have to have an attitude. I'm not having an attitude. Well, it sure sounds like it. Well, why did you ask me such a question? And then where is that going to go? Nowhere, except hard feelings. That's not the way to connect. It's not the way to create that powerful, powerful connection, love connection with your child. It doesn't mean that you can't be strict with them. Of course you can. I work with couples, and I'm working right now, and the parenting styles are different, and it's causing havoc, obviously, in the relationship. And the husband was brought up more heart-centered, and the wife was brought up more judgmental and a little bit of yelling towards her. And so now the father feels very comfortable disciplining the children. The mom doesn't. She feels that if she disciplines them, they won't love her. That is why moms and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and fathers and everybody else who looks at a child, we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of the words we use and how we speak to the child. And again, I'm telling you, this training is not just for children. This training is for you moms as your person. This training is for all your relationships.
Yes. And if we believe that the child chooses their parents as a spirit, like this is the mom and dad I'm going to come earthside with, like there is a conscious decision there of a mutual training that's going to be occurring.
Absolutely.
Even, especially those first 18 years of life, right? So,
well, yes. And I do believe that everyone comes into this beautiful world with a spiritual contract. Up in the heavens, God asked, who wants to take care of a blind girl? I do. And that was the teacher of Helen Keller. Who wants to come, and that's where the choice comes in, way up there. And so then God finds the people, I believe. And so there is a spiritual contract. And so that is why the saying, everything that happens to you is for you, not against you. And if you can really believe that, you start looking for the lessons instead of getting caught up in that. So let me explain something. There is what I call the earth line, and there's the spirit line. And so if there is an adversity that comes on the earth line, you can't see above it. But if you have an adversity on the earth line and you're able to elevate even slightly and look down, you start to see, there's a lesson in there for me. And I'm not saying it's easy, but when you get to the lesson, you think, wow, that is powerful. And then you have something to work with. You have something to deal with. That is why this idea of elevating, of going up the spiritual ladder is so helpful, because at the very top is nothing but love. It's nothing but love. And we've heard that. We go, yeah. Yes. Speak to people who are on their deathbed. Speak to people who are very accomplished and ask them, after they have everything they wanted, what's the most important thing? It's love. It's relationships. So why do we need to wait? Why can't we just take their word for it for now and just know that and have that as a belief?
Yes. Universal intelligence is love. It's really that simple. And, I had a podcast guest recently share a very, a heartbreaking incident that had occurred for her. And from that, where she lost her sister. And from that point forward, she was like, I'm just going to choose love. Like every decision in my life is going to come, because there was so much pain and anger that was coming out of this, event, right? She could have chosen to be angry for the rest of her life, or she could choose to be loving. And she's chose love. And it's created amazing things globally for what she's been able to do. So the more we can operate from that place of love, we'll touch people at such a big level, and we'll model that for our children.
Absolutely. And it's all a choice. Anger is a choice. Love is a choice. Frustration is a choice. Overcommitment is a choice. It's all a choice. And once we recognize that these are choices, we get to ask ourselves, well, if it's a choice, I can change it. I can change it.
Yes, we can. We have that ability.
Absolutely.
And I love what you were speaking to about the subconscious beliefs that are driving the show for us as adults that may no longer be serving us. And But if we're not aware of them, we can't shift them, right? So it's that awareness, which is the first step.
It is the first step. And even before that, the pre-step is, if something's not working in your life, that's like a call to action. It's like, hello, anybody home? Hello.
Right. It's true.
Right? Seriously.
Like we can't just keep expecting it to get a different result by doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Right?
So the pre-step, even to the awareness, is, this isn't working for me. I'm so stressed out. Whatever that is. I just watched a movie. Can't think of the name of it. And she's a mom, and the kids just drop things around the house, and the husband is on the phone all the time. He's in real estate, and she puts up with it. And she doesn't like it. She just puts up with it. And then, everybody leaves. She cleans it up and all of that. Well, then you find out that she took architecture in school, and she started to become an architect and then had children. She meets her dear friend who's not married. And the married mom spends a weekend and just reconnects with who she was and who she wants to be. And the reason I'm sharing this is because, moms, are you taking any time for yourself? And the first response is, I don't have time. Who has time? I don't have money. Where am I supposed to go? Well, you know what? There are so many teens, very capable teens and girls in their 20s that would babysit for 2 hours while you go for a long walk, or you go to, wow, what if you went to a coffee shop and you did nothing but just had a really expensive drink? Treat yourself, for gosh sakes. Are you worth $5? And have an expensive drink and just be. Now, moms, if you are not finding 5 minutes, well, I'm going to share with you my thing. If you're not finding an hour a week for yourself, something is very wrong. And I hear the moms go, but Ruth, you don't know my life. I'm a single mom. I get the kids ready for school. I then go to school. I come home. I'm on the second shift. Absolutely. That's absolutely right. I'm not saying it's easy. It's necessary. And if anyone wants to connect with me and I can help them find that hour, I'm happy to do so complimentary. That's how important this is, moms. You've got to be able to look forward to your hour, not cleaning, not catching up. No. It's for you. And a lot of moms will say, well, I don't know what I want. Precisely.
Wow.
Precisely. So let's start with a coffee shop. Let's start with a walk.
Nature. How about going on a hike?
A hike. What about going to a movie?
A massage?
A massage? What about just laying out and getting sun rays? I mean,
lunch with a girlfriend?
Lunch, absolutely. Absolutely. I had lunch with a girlfriend I'd had for a long time, and I had a glass of wine, and I thought I was in heaven. Seriously. That lunch was a celebration of a win that I had had. So moms, celebrate.
Yes.
You're a mom. You have these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little urchins. And so many women want children and don't have it. You've got beautiful babies there. You know, my baby is a grown woman and 2 grown men. They're still my babies. Enjoy them, but you're not going to enjoy them unless you enjoy yourself first.
Oh, that's very true.
Unless you make time for yourself. I'm sorry. You have to have what I call loving, healthy boundaries. When I was writing my first book, I was in my office. I shut the glass doors, and then I told my children that unless someone's bleeding, do not come in. Now that may sound harsh, but I was fine with that because they were young. And then I started to feel guilty, the mom guilt, which is a real thing.
It's real.
And then I thought, yep. And then I thought, okay, what can I do that I can have them participate in me writing a book? And so I said, guys, you know what? When mommy gets the book, because they were little, when mommy gets the book written and bought, because I'm a high achiever, not just written, has to be bought. When mommy finishes her book and gets it bought, we're going to spend one night at the Disneyland Hotel. Oh, we never spent it at the Disneyland Hotel. We would go to another small hotel. Oh. They now had buy-in, and nobody bugged me when I was in my office with the door shut. They had it worked out. They just worked it out. Then I was working on my second book. This is how powerful children
are. They were part of the team, and they were also part of the manifestation.
That's right. They were bought into it. And then when the second book, I was writing the second book, one of the ones said, Mommy, does that mean we get to spend 2 nights at the Disneyland Hotel? Honestly, how do you say no to that?
That's a smart negotiation right there.
Oh, boy, are they negotiators. Our kids are negotiators, man. They learn from the best. And so it was 2. And then we had 3 nights. Well, I owe them a week at Disney World now. So all I'm saying is that takes curiosity. It's open to possibility. How can you make it work? And that's what I always say, even to this day. How can I make it work? Because the moment I say it's never going to work, I shut down. My creative process shuts down, and I'm no longer creating and co-creating with something much larger than me. And so I'm always asking, how can I make this work? And I'm telling you, you ask that question, you'll get the download.
Yes. And when we come from a place of this will never happen, I can never do this, then that's also becomes our reality, right? You're speaking Absolutely. To how we're really creating the life we want to create by our thoughts, modeling it for our children. And I love the idea of co-creating with our children, family vacations, magic memories. Like we don't like they can be participants in that manifestation. My son is like, let's buy that house in Nevis, Mom. He wants to have the house in Nevis. And I'm like, I want it too. So I know that we're co-creating that together. So I think we don't give kids enough credit sometimes. It's like, oh, how are they going to help us manifest a second house or manifest a vacation? But they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another example. I lived in 2 hours away from Los Angeles, and there was a meeting that I really wanted to go to, but I had made a decision not to have evening meetings and leave the family. And so I just said, how can I make this work? How can I make this work? And then I got a download. And so we brought the whole family, and it was during high level traffic in LA, fun. And my husband got off work early. He was able to do that, I think 15 minutes. And we came into Los Angeles. They dropped me off. Then their dad took them to get soul food at a deli. And then he took them miniature golfing. And then they came to pick me up like 2.5 hours later. And we had a van. And he put them in their 90s. And afterwards, did they brush their teeth? No. Did I care? Nope. Did they stay up late one night every 2 months? Nope. And so when they came to pick me up, they were so excited. I was excited. And then slowly one fell asleep. The second one fell asleep. Third one fell asleep. And then it was quiet. And then the adults could talk. And then I knew it was a win when one of the children said, Mommy, when do you have that meeting in Los Angeles again? And then we kept doing it. They looked forward to it. That's also a type of buy-in. And did I care? Again, did I care they didn't brush their teeth? No, not for one night. No, because they did it extra in the morning. And did I care that they went to bed a lot later than usual? No. So there's a give and take, mom and children and family and all of that. How can I make it work? How can I co-create with the children? How can I make it so the children have buy-in? How can I create something, co-create something with a source much higher that knows so much more than I,
Yes.
so much more creative than me, and have buy-in with the kids are going to enjoy it and ask, when are we doing that again? Are we going to?
Yes, yeah. Ruth, you really hit the nail on the head there. The downloads that you're referring to are like, we don't have to figure it all out, right? You just have to be quiet and still, boop, download. Oh, wow, I would have never thought of that. And right. Then it's like, you know, the what can come from that is amazing. And I think that's the other thing too, because you were talking about ideas in the graveyard. When we get these downloads, they are a gift from God. They're precious. Mm-hmm. And let's say it's an idea for a multi-million-dollar business. And you're like, oh, I'm a mom, I'm busy, I don't have time. Well, guess what? That idea eventually will move on to the next mom who will make a multi-million-dollar business for her family and buy the house in Nevis and go on these amazing family vacations around the world because she got the download and she took action on it, right? That's the other thing. We can get lots of downloads and then we can just say, oh, I'm too busy, blah, blah, all the excuses, or we can act on them.
Yes. And I think the major the issue is we don't trust the downloads. We think it's for somebody else, or
right.
No.
That goes back to that person's self-esteem and self-worth.
Yes.
I'm not worthy to build this and create this and make millions of dollars.
And it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy to get that idea. No, I have to work really hard. It has to be hard. It has to take a lot of time. It has to be really expensive. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. We talk ourselves out of greatness because we don't trust what gifts are given to us. We all, I did start a nonprofit organization. It's called Universal Mom. It's helping children and teens uncover their talents through the art of writing to build self-confidence.
And what age does this start at?
8. And are you ready for this? Talk about downloads. Oh my God. So had the Self-Esteem Council for 22 years. I cried when we had to shut it down because we didn't have mentors anymore. And the next day I got this incredible download and I started writing at least 12, 13 pages. Dr. Laura, I'm smart, but I'm not this smart. The ages came down, 8 to 11, 12 to 14, 15 to 19. What? And it was to work with children around the world. And I remember writing, Dear God, there's only one of me. Don't worry, sweetheart. You will have mentors around the world to help you. And I mean, and so I started the nonprofit. And so this year, God willing, will be a big launch. I had a soft launch a few years ago, had a pilot program, very successful. And now it's time to Q4 to launch it in a big way.
Wow. I definitely got chills when you were sharing that. Because the reality is when we get these downloads, they can feel so big and so intimidating that it's like, how do I even take the next step? But when we remember that there's a reason that we got that download, like there was... It didn't go to the person next to us unless we choose to not act on it, right? It came to us and we're so supported. We have our guardian angels and our spirit guides and, people will show up in our lives to give us mentorship and support and grants, and anything is possible when we're serving from that purpose of love and service, right? Like when there's just such a big purpose
Absolutely.
that's there, that's so needed.
Absolutely. And when we stop saying, how can I make this work? We have a block. And this is what happens. We can't see anything. We can't do anything. There's just one white sheet that's empty. So that's what blocks do. It blocks us from seeing the gold in our children. It blocks us from seeing the gold in ourselves. It blocks us from seeing the gold that can be the life that we desire.
So how do we remove those blocks?
Come talk to me. Let me coach you. At the end of the day, what I do is I help my clients connect and elevate. And once they can elevate, then they can start to see things more clearly with guidance. And then it's a matter of, once they start to see things clearly, it's a matter of reinforcing. And there are many ways to reinforce those new thoughts, those new beliefs that will create new actions.
Beautiful. Ruth, when is your book, Conscious Connection, coming out?
God willing, it is coming out third quarter. It should be out by September
2024.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to be on the lookout for that on Amazon, right? I'm sure it's going to be there.
Yes.
And if somebody does want to connect with you and coach or have any, parenting support, how can they get in touch with you?
The best way is go to chatwithruthklein.com or talk to ruthklein.com. It's Klein. And I'd be happy to offer a complimentary session to get you started, or where to look, or at the very least, to give you a hopeful direction. We moms need just a little glimpse of a hopeful direction.
Beautiful. Ruth, this has been such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I am so in admiration of your passion, your purpose, your joy. It's contagious. So once again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It was fun and wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Ruth Klein. We delved into some heavy, deep work. And I think with her experience, not only as a mom, but now as a grandmother, and all the work she's done with children, it's really recognizing that our children feel best about themselves when they're getting connection and love from those around them. And that's what the Parenting Conscious Connection is all about, is when we're fully connected and engaged and present with our children, then they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel loved. And that's what we all need to develop to be healthy, resilient adults. So once again, to get more information about Ruth, you can check out her website at universalmom.org. She's also at LinkedIn at Ruth Klein.